Welcome back. This is part three of just kind of a Citywell update. Part one, we just kind of went over we're meeting in a house. We're not meeting large. We're not even trying to meet large anymore. Part two, we answered the question, what is a church? And we said it's worship, community, and mission. If you've been watching them, you're like, doesn't this guy ever change? Well, I'm batch recording, so I'm recording a bunch of these at once to be as effective with my time as possible. But I want to talk about the Discipleship Factory. And so this is one of the things that really shifted in our mindset and in our thoughts as we moved from what I'm calling a legacy church or a larger church launch model to saying we're going to be a micro church. And I'll define that term more moving forward. But it's the Discipleship Factory. So what is a church? It's a group that worships. So W and my Sharpie doesn't work. Let me try a different one. Worship. Let's see if I can make this so you can see it. Community and mission. That's the minimum for church. So here is how most churches in America operate. We believe we are called to make disciples. It's Matthew 28:18-20. Jesus giving the Great Commission to make disciples. So we have Harry and Helen. They're heathens. Harry and Helen, the heathens. Is that inappropriate? Probably. Oh well, it's already in here. The goal is to get Harry and Helen heathen into the doors of our church. And where do they usually show up? The Sunday morning gathering, where they experience worship. And our hope is that as they experience worship, they get to meet and know God. And as they get to meet and know God, we want to move them from just worshiping to being part of community. The modern day approach in most churches for that is some form of groups. We say get into a small group, get into a life group, get into a growth group, and you are going to find community. We believe that as they are worshiping and in community, they are going to move on to mission. They're going to start doing what God's calling them to do. And this does see fruit. There are some people who come out the other side, fully devoted followers of Christ. Harry and Helen, heathen, have now been redeemed by Jesus and are living life on mission. This model is fruitful. We have seen fruit from it. But I should also say this isn't an original idea from me. I stole it from The Forge. It's a lot of Alan Hirsch's work. But this model, according to missiologists, can only reach 40% of society. Because we ask them to enter here, there is so much Christian lingo and culture and barriers to them hearing the gospel that 60% of society today can't be reached with this model, according to Alan Hirsch and now Ed Stetzer. I've heard similar numbers from him also. So as we're rethinking, here's where we are at. We're flipping it on its head. We have mission, community, and worship. So we're starting with mission. What is God calling us to do? Individually, what's my calling as a believer? The believers who are with us, what's God calling me to do? And also corporately as a group meeting together. What is my mission? If you've ever gone on a missions trip or even a church trip together, you know that the natural outflow of living life together, doing something together, is community. You're not forcing it in a group, it's the natural outflow. And when we're living out in Christian community on mission, that natural outflow of that is worship. Now we're not forcing worship, we're naturally worshiping. We're going to the edges of the kingdom of God, inviting people in, living in community with them, and seeing God glorified through it. I'm running out of time for this video because I've said I'm going to keep them at 5 minutes. So part 2 is coming soon.